Voting is now closed for the 2023 OSWAs, which means this is the perfect time to talk about my predictions and picks for who will win this year's Online Scotch Whisky Awards. Let's talk OSWAs. Hey guys, welcome back to Whiskey on the West Coast. My name is Matt, and today we're talking OSWAs, the Online Scotch Whisky Awards, an online initiative to put forth the whiskeys that whiskey lovers are drinking, that we as a community online are drinking and enjoying and want to see acknowledged for all the great things that they've done. And so if you voted, fantastic. If not, I am sorry to tell you that voting is now closed. However, that doesn't mean the fun is over, because we still have the award ceremony to come. And until then, we can all debate who we think is going to win this year's 2023 Online Scotch Whisky Awards. I didn't want to talk about my picks for who I thought should win this year before voting was closed. And so I largely left my predictions and my picks until after. So now we're officially past the voting period, let's get to my predictions and picks. First category is for Best Value Whiskey in 2023, and this is a crazy deep pool of candidates here. So the nominations are Ardnamurchan AD release, Arran 10-year-old, Bruichladdich the Classic Laddie, Kilkerran 12-year-old, Ledaig 10-year-old, and Port Charlotte 10-year-old. These are some fantastic whiskeys. This is probably one of the toughest categories in the entire award show. I have 5 of these 6 bottles on my shelf right now. The only one I don't have is Arran 10-year-old because I emptied my bottle and haven't replaced it yet. These are all well worthwhile picks. My prediction and my overall pick for Best Value, because we're basing this off of UK pricing, is going to be the Kilkerran 12-year-old, a 12-year-old Campbelltown single malt that is just delivers really excellent flavor and is an integrity malt and has had a great value with under 50 pounds. Yes, sign me up. That is amazing. That is amazing value. It's 2 years older than anything else in this category, and it is something that a lot of whiskey enthusiasts adore. I think it has decently global distribution. I think if you really work hard to get your hands on a bottle, even in places like British Columbia where it's not sold anymore, you can eventually find your way into a bottle. Kilkerran 12-year-old, I think, has this category. However, if I was picking based on Canadian pricing, I would be picking the Ledaig 10-year-old. And that's because while Kilkerran 12-year-old in Canada these days usually runs around $100 Canadian, the Ledaig 10-year-old, at least in British Columbia, oftentimes goes on sale for $63 Canadian, over $35 cheaper. And that just makes it a ridiculously good value for a 10-year-old peated whiskey that is a great alternative to our favorite Islay peated whiskeys. I really adore that whiskey. It's one of my favorites. It was the first whiskey I ever reviewed on the channel, and for good reason. There's also a couple People's Choice candidates I'd throw out there, which are Craigellachie 13, and a little more overlooked by enthusiasts because of the ownership and because it doesn't have fully natural presentation, Glengarry 12-year-old. Those are both great nods as well that would have been well worth a nomination in this category, but just not this year. My pick for this year is Kilkerran 12-year-old. The next category is Best Blended Whiskey for 2023, and the nominations in this category were Chivas Regal 12-year-old, Cutty Sark Prohibition, Dewar's Double Double 21-year-old, Johnnie Walker Black Label 12-year-old, McLean's Nose, as well as Thompson Brothers TBBSW 6-year-old. Now, my prediction in this category is a whiskey that has a ton of momentum behind it because people are absolutely loving what's coming out of this distillery. And this whiskey would be the McLean's Nose. Now, McLean's Nose is a large proportion made up of whiskey from the Ardnamurchan distillery. Personally, I have 3 bottles from Ardnamurchan on my shelf as it is. It also uses malt whiskey from the Glen, Scotia distillery, and it is a high percentage of malt to grain ratio. So all really great things there. It comes in at a great price, right around like 32 pounds. I think this is a phenomenal whiskey with integrity presentation. However, I have to tell you right now, this is my prediction, but it is not my pick. Why? Because I have not had it. I have only heard about it and wished I could try it. Why? Because this whiskey, along with the Thompson Brothers TBBSW, which would be my second inclination for a pick in this category, they aren't actually imported into my market, into Canada, which, number one, can somebody please fix that? John the Whiskey Neighbor, in his breakdown video where he threw his vote, his nomination behind the Dewar's Double Double 21-year-old, he made the same plea. Please, somebody bring Thompson Brothers and their independent bottlings and their really great value blends to Canada. Please get on that. But for me, there's 3 whiskeys in this category that I haven't had. And for this reason, I abstained from casting a vote. The other one I haven't had yet is Cutty Sark Prohibition, which Jeff Whiskey is a big fan of. In fact, I believe that's really the whiskey that inspired him to launch his channel. So I guess there's 4 whiskeys already that could really have a good shot at winning this. I still think it's Maclean's Noses Award to win or lose. Really, they are the frontrunner. They are my prediction, and I have no pick in this category. Next category is Best Blended Malt Whiskey for 2023. The nominations are Douglas Lang's Big Pete, Campbelltown Loch, Compass Box No Name No. 3, Compass Box Orchard House, Douglas Lang's The Gauldrons, as well as Thompson Brothers SRV5 8-year-old. Now this is a really deep category as well, much like the best value. I'm not surprised to see Douglas Lang and Compass Box both mentioned twice here. And I think this is going to come down to a lot of different factors, and I could see really 2 whiskeys winning this category. But my prediction for who is going to win is going to be the Campbelltown Loch. Why? Because there's so much momentum. There's so many people who are just gobbling up anything and everything Springbank, and why not? They make fantastic whiskey, and this blended malt is a blend of Springbank, Longrow, Hazelburn, Kilkerran, and Glen, Scotia whiskeys. That is an unbelievable proposition when you look at the price of the bottle, and it's at or under 40 pounds everywhere as I look anyways. That is fantastic. I wish I could actually buy a bottle of that. I've had the whiskey. I loved it, but I can't seem to get a bottle here in Canada. But my prediction is going to be the Campbelltown Loch. I could see the Compass Box Orchard House stealing that award from Campbelltown Loch. Why? Because the distribution is just so good on Orchard House. That is in my market. I think it's in almost every whiskey market at this point. It's a fantastic whiskey as well. Super like fruity. It's got floral notes, great maltiness to it. I adore that whiskey, and I could see that easily winning as well. However, my personal pick for which of these 6 whiskeys I think is the best is going to be the Compass Box No Name No. 3. And yes, it's a lot more expensive than all the other nominees here, and that's why I think it's not going to win this category. However, it has really well like teenage aged Bowmore and Laphroaig as major components of this whiskey. And when I tasted it, it is just a wonderful smoky flavor bomb with a lot of tropical fruits. I really love this whiskey. It's fantastic. I am definitely a Compass Box fanboy. I really appreciate it. I really think though the price point on this whiskey, which is about 105, 106 pounds, I think that price point is what's going to hold it back. But that by far to me was the best tasting whiskey of all of these. Not the best value, but the best tasting. So that's going to be my pick, but the prediction is Campbelltown Loch. The next award is going to be for Best Non-Malt Whiskey, and the nominations for this one are Blue Spot 7-year-old, Irish Pot Still Whiskey, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof, Loch Lomond Single Grain Peated Whiskey, Wild Turkey 101, as well as Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Now, for prediction's sake, I was thinking that either the Blue Spot or the Loch Lomond Single Grain would win because they are the closest in profile to what a typical Scotch drinker would be looking for, since it's the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. However, I really could see those 2 categories those 2 nominees canceling each other out, kind of splitting the vote. And for that reason, even though I haven't tried the Blue Spot 7-year-old and it has a lot of older whiskey in it, I have a lot of suspicion that's probably the best whiskey in this category. I think due to distribution and great value whiskey, and really just a great whiskey in general, Wild Turkey Rare Breed, I think, is going to win this category. It would also be my pick for the ones I've actually had in this category. So Wild Turkey Rare Breed, again, for the great value and really a great whiskey and something that a lot of people have gotten their hands on, I think Wild Turkey Rare Breed will be the winner in this category. The next award is going to be Best Distillery for 2023, which I think is one of the biggest awards on the night, as well as one of the most compelling and competitive categories. I don't know how someone picks one of these distilleries as their winner. It's incredible that I even came to a conclusion, I think. But the nominations for this category were Ardnamurchan, Benromach, Bruichladdich, Glen, Scotia, Loch Lomond, as well as Springbank. Okay, where to start? Well, number one, I'm going to tell you that I think the word to define this category is versatility. You look at each of these distilleries and they are incredibly versatile. possibly Loch Lomond the most versatile with the different types of stills they have and run whiskey through, as well as the different types of spirits. So like lightly peated, heavily peated, moderately peated, single grain, like single blend. They do everything at Loch Lomond. They are versatile, but so is Bruichladdich with their unpeated spirit, their heavily peated Port Charlotte, their super heavily peated Octomore. Benromach has their heavily peated spirit. They have triple distilled spirit. They have their regular moderately peated spirit. They have so many different types of malts they're playing with, a whole bunch of different experiments. They have cask strength iterations. They have seemingly everything. And then Springbank, Hazelburn, Longrow, Springbank, and then all the different adaptations of those. So like the cask series, oftentimes sherry casks or Hazelburn, the Longrow Red series with red wine finishes, Springbank local barley, everything else. The versatility behind these distilleries. On top of this, all these distilleries, for the most part, are presenting everything in an integrity fashion. The only ones that I think slip on this a little bit are Benromach with their bottling strength, as well as Loch Lomond with, I believe, coloring, and sometimes their bottling strength. But really, these are just amazing distilleries. I'm going to tell you that my prediction and my pick for who is going to win this category is going to be the Springbank Distillery. They are going to win again because they do everything right. They treat their staff well. They are really they seem to be the heartbeat of Campbelltown, along with Glen, Scotia. I don't want to count them out too much, but Springbank is just, they are the darlings of the whiskey world right now, and I don't think there's any stopping that train at present. On top of that, though, a great second choice, and I won't be surprised if Benromach wins this category. Benromach is absolutely knocking out of the park. I am buying more Benromach than anything right now because I can't get my hands largely on Springbank. That's where my money is going instead of Springbank these days. I could see other whiskey enthusiasts, whiskey lovers, going that way with their votes as well because they can actually get their hands on Benromach. But I don't want to punish Springbank for their own success. So Springbank, again, is my prediction and my pick. The next category is for Best New Distillery for 2023. The nominations in this category for Ardnamurchan, Bimber, Isle of Raasay, Kingsbarns, Ledaig, as well as the Lindores Distillery. Now, it's a fairly strong category as well. I could see at least 3 of these having a really good chance at winning this category. Isle of Raasay has been doing some great stuff. I did enjoy their inaugural release. I wish I saw a bit more variety in what they had coming out in my market, but I know that's only a matter of time before we see that. Ledaig had came out of the gate strong with 3 different cask types, along with their heavily peated spirit. They are the heavily peated, I guess, branch of Arran on the Isle of Arran in the south of the island there. I enjoy what they're putting out. I want to explore more, but I don't think either of these distilleries can come close to who will win this category and who is my pick to win this category, which is Ardnamurchan. I think Ardnamurchan has this wrapped up already. They won it last year. I think they're going to win it again this year. Their regular AD release is just so solidly good, and at a great price. Their cask strength bottling, I fell in love with as well. Their first batch of their cask strength was phenomenal. And then the Ardnamurchan bottling, which I just got my hands on last week, I've already torn into. That's phenomenal too. I've had a few other single casks. All have been fantastic. I've tried the McLean and Bruce single cask. It seems like they can do no wrong. I'm in love with their spirit, their distillate signature. I love the minerality we get off it. I love the fruits. I love the coastal influence. Ardnamurchan's just killing it. I think they're going to win. They're my pick. What can I say? One of the categories I'm looking forward to the most is the award for Best Independent Baller for 2023. And the nominations it's a really deep class of nominations here. We've got Cadenheads, we've got Gordon MacPhail, North Star Spirits, Signatory Vintage, Scotch Malt Whisky Society, as well as Thompson Brothers. Right away, I'm going to tell you, I haven't had anything from Thompson Brothers. Again, as I mentioned earlier, they just aren't distributed in Canada. But I'm hearing lots of great things from the United Kingdom about them. Cadenheads, I really enjoyed my visit to the Cadenheads shops in Edinburgh and in Campbelltown. I really enjoyed my warehouse tasting. However, they're not my pick in this either, nor my prediction. Signatory Vintage won this category last year, I believe, and I don't quite get that from what I see in Canada, because outside of their unchill filtered range, which is a little more affordable, a lot of their whiskey is really just priced astronomically. I'm looking at like 11-year-old Ledgigs that are going for $430, things like that. I'm not sure what's going on with the pricing in my market for signatory vintage, but that really turns me off from actually buying their products. The only one I consistently buy is the Edgewater 10-year-old signatory vintage release. Outside of that, I don't really pick much up from them. North Star Spirits, they've won this award through other award shows in recent past, and I could see why they would be high on people's lists. They're high on my list. They're probably my second place finisher if I had one in this category. However, I don't think their distribution network is as robust as some of the others, and I think that's going to hurt them in this category. My prediction for who's going to win is going to be the Scotch Malt Whisky Society, SMWS. Why? Because in particular, the United States, I don't think they have broad distribution of all of these independent bottlers. I think the one that has the best distribution network is the SMWS. I believe their presence on both on social media with their YouTube channel, the people who are running it, like Scott from the Scotch Test Dummies, their network of branches all throughout the world, their members' rooms. I think they do a really good job of being great ambassadors for their brand. I could see SMWS winning this category. However, my pick is Gordon and MacPhail. They are outrageously overrepresented in Canada because I think we're loving what they're bringing to the table. They have a fantastic cask management policy. They have really long-standing ties with a lot of different distilleries that gets them whiskey that no one else would have. And their price points in Canada are ridiculously good. Our importer that's bringing in Gordon MacPhail, especially to Western Canada, to Alberta and BC, is doing a fantastic job. Talking about prices comparing to signatory vintage, I'm picking up like 17-year-old Ledgigs for half the price of that 11-year-old Ledaig from signatory vintage. Yeah, Gordon MacPhail's just killing it. Not to mention their immaculate spey malts that they're releasing at cask strength, natural presentation. Gordon MacPhail, that is my pick. I hope they win this category, but again, I won't be surprised that SMWS pulls this off. Second last award on the night is for Best World Whiskey 2023. The nominations for this category include the Blue Spot 7-year-old, which we saw earlier. It's Irish pot still whiskey. The Indri Trini 3-wood from India, Indian single malt whiskey. Kavalan Solist Vino Barrique from the Kavalan Distillery in Taiwan. Nika Yoichi Non-Aged Statement from Japan. Powers John's Lane 12-year-old from Ireland, as well as the Wild Turkey Rare Breed from the US of A. Now, this is a category that I feel the least confident in my prediction of who's going to win. And I also have a pick that I just really love, and I'm definitely a bit of homerism about it because it's one of my favorites. So right off the top, Indri Trini has had a lot of social media buzz because they've sent a lot of bottles to a lot of YouTubers, a lot of Instagrammers, have had a lot of reviews and a lot of social media posts as a result. There was good things coming back, good reviews coming back before they did this. But since they've done this, I don't have a good read as to how popular this bottle actually is outside of those who are making videos, doing blog posts, and other such things. Could very well win. I hear it's a good whiskey, but I haven't tried it myself. The second thing on the Kavalan Solist Vino Barrique, I know Jeremy from Sipper Social Club is a huge fan of that whiskey. I think he really pumps it up as one of the best, if not the best, from Kavalan. I got to try a dram of that because I won it through his Drink My Bar Patreon. Thank you for that, Jeremy. I really enjoyed it. What I think is going to work against Kavalan in this category is their price. It's kind of, it's just far too high. It's restrictive for people to get into and actually try at £200 for the bottle. Not that it's not necessarily worth it. I'm not making that judgment here, but I'm saying that I think less people will have tried that bottle, and ergo less people will be voting for that bottle because of that reason. It's a very worthwhile candidate, but I think just fewer people have tried it as a result. My prediction for what bottle's going to win is going to be the Blue Spot 7-year-old Irish pot still whiskey, and that is because, again, it is probably one of the closer representatives to what a Scotch drinker I think is looking to drink. I thought Rare Breed could also win in this category, and very well could, but with the Blue Spot being closer to the kind of the Scotch malt sort of profile, I would see that one winning. It has a lot older whiskey in it than 7 years old. It's got an interesting cask makeup. I think the Blue Spot is well positioned to win this category. But my pick, because it's my favorite Japanese whiskey at a great price point, I think it's super accessible. I think it's been getting a lot of great accolades this past year, including amongst the barfly community with Aquavite's followers, is the Nika Yoichi non-age statement. I love the lightly to moderately sort of peated whiskey. I love the fact they're using direct coal-fired stills still at this point. I'm a big fan of that whiskey, and that's gonna be my pick for best world whiskey for 2023, the Nika Yoichi. I just want to thank you guys for watching this video thus far. I really appreciate all the support. I love seeing all the comments, especially on the top 10 under 46% list video I put it. You guys had some great suggestions. Honestly, you called me out on a lot of whiskeys that really could have been in that list that weren't. I'm thinking about putting together a second video on that topic as a result of your guys' comments. So keep the comments coming. I really appreciate the engagement and the support. And let me know in the comments down below, what would be your picks for the Online Scotch Whisky Awards? What do you think will win or should win? On top of this, guys, I really want to thank my Patreon members that have signed up to help support the channel in that way. We recently started a new Patreon page where we have additional videos and reviews, and it's just another avenue where you can go ahead and support us with whiskey on the West Coast and bringing more content in the future. So really big thanks to those who signed up as Patreon members. Let's get to the last category in the awards. The final category, the big one on the night, is going to be for Best Scotch Whisky 2023. And why not? It's the Online Scotch Whisky Awards after all. The nominations are Benromach Cask Strength, Bunnahabhain 12 Cask Strength, Glen Scotia Victoriana, Ledaig 18-year-old, Port Charlotte 10-year-old, and Springbank 10-year-old. Okay, wow. These nominees, this is as deep a category as the Best Distillery category. These are all fantastic whiskeys. Right off the hop, last year's winner, Glen Scotia Victoriana, very worthy nominee. I think we were all caught off guard by a non-age statement whiskey that was as solid as the Glen Scotia Victoriana. If you break into it, you can find out what age is and what the cask breakdown is. It's a great whiskey. I was a big fan of it. However, I don't think it's going to pull it off this year. I think sentiment is just turning towards a few other whiskeys on this list. Ledaig 18-year-old. I love that whiskey when I got to try it. It's not distributed in Canada yet. Hopefully that changes in the future. This was Roy's Whiskey of the Year last year. I think it is, again, a phenomenal whiskey. I really love the profile. It is a solid whiskey, but I think it's going to be overshadowed by some of the cask strength options in this category. Where I think sentiment is going to go to, I think my predicted winner is going to be the Bunnahabhain 12 Cask Strength. I think a lot of people have a lot of feelings towards the Bunnahabhain 12, the standard release. I think that's something that a lot of people have as a go-to value whiskey and one of their favorite sherried whiskeys, really. I think Bunnahabhain 12 Cask Strength will kind of play off of that success, and when people want to step up to a special version of that, they're going to look towards this 12 Cask Strength. Now, we also have 3 batches of the 12 Cask Strength that have been released now, with the second batch getting really fantastic reviews. So it's been out for a little while, and the success of the second batch, I think everything's pointing in the direction of Bunnahabhain 12 Cask Strength. Now, this is another whiskey that we cannot get in Canada. I don't know why, or at least in good enough quantities for me to get my hands on it. I have seemingly no hope to do so. So I hope that changes in the future, because by all accounts, it's a banger of a whiskey. My pick in this category isn't going to be Port Charlotte 10. It isn't going to be Springbank 10, although I'm very tempted to go that direction. My pick in this category is going to be the Benromach Cask Strength releases. Why? Because I've never heard a bad thing about any of them. There's many different iterations of this that come out in different markets. I've always heard really strong, solid things about it. I think it is a profile that is just so enjoyable. I'm buying more and more Benromach, almost more Benromach than anything else right now, especially the single casks and the cask strength releases. The price point at £60 is ridiculously good value. And in Canada, it's still about like $110, $115 a bottle. Great stuff. I think it's really stepping into the gap that Springbank is leaving behind, because Springbank's kind of a victim of their own success. I don't really think Springbank should suffer for that. However, I do think that more voters might look towards Benromach in this category because they can actually get their hands on it. A few different ways this could go. Again, really tough category, but my pick is going to be the Benromach cast strength releases, but I think that Bunnahabhain 12 cast strength is going to pull it off. Thank you once again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, go ahead and like, share, subscribe to the channel. I'm really excited for the Online Scotch Whisky Awards. I can't wait for the awards ceremony. I hope to talk to you guys in the chat section at the awards. I hope I'm able to take part in it live and watching and seeing the winners roll in. Until then, from the West Coast, slàinte.